Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Babaji Krishna.
Babaji Krishna.
Lahiri Mahashaya.
Lahiri Mahashaya.
Swami Shri Yukteswar.
Swami Shri Yukteswar.
Beloved Guru.
Beloved Guru.
Paramahansa Yogananda.
Paramahansa Yogananda.
Saints of all religions, we bow before thee.
We bow before thee.
With deep love and gratitude.
With deep love and gratitude.
We invite you.
We invite you.
Into the temple of our heart.
Into the temple of our heart.
Into the temple of our mind.
Into the temple of our mind.
Into our consciousness.
Into our consciousness.
Come in.
Come in.
And take charge of our lives.
And take charge of our lives.
Make our bodies omnipresent.
Make our bodies omnipresent.
Fill our hearts with divine love.
Fill our hearts with divine love.
Let our thoughts reflect your wisdom.
Let our thoughts reflect your wisdom.
And let our souls shine with your light.
All shine with your light.
Oh, peace. Amen.
Amen.
Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Divine Mother, my Divine Mother, Divine Mother, my Divine Mother, Divine Mother, my Divine Mother, Divine Mother, my Divine Mother.
Now let's affirm together, first in a strong voice, grabbing the attention of the conscious mind. The treasury of the infinite is mine.
The treasury of the infinite is mine.
For its wealth is energy.
For its wealth is energy.
And I am energy.
And I am energy.
Good morning. For those who don't know us, my name is Dharmadevi, and this is my husband Narayan. We're very happy to join you for our Sunday service. I'm reading to you from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. This is activity versus inner communion. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Last week, we contemplated the well-known story of Martha and Mary. Traditionally, this story has been offered to show the two classic approaches to salvation, the first through action and the second through prayer. The excuse of the Marthas of this world has always been, the church needs its Marthas too. Treatises, moreover, have been written to justify the Martha approach to piety, praising her self-sacrifice as perhaps an even higher demonstration of devotion. Thus do the unmeditative in religion try to justify themselves. Yet the fact remains that Jesus rebuked Martha. Elsewhere, moreover, he spoke of the virtue of feeding the hungry, curing the sick, and housing those who were homeless. It wasn't that he disapproved of serving people. Wrong attitude was the object of his criticism. What he was criticizing was forgetfulness of the true goal of right spiritual action. Good deeds outwardly, without inner communion with God, will result in good karma, but will not bring final freedom from all karma. The path to inner freedom was described by Paramahansa Yogananda in these words: be always calmly active and actively calm. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita, the 2nd chapter, he who is not shaken by anxiety during times of sorrow, nor elated during times of happiness, who is free from egoic desires and their attendant fear and anger, Such a one is of steady discrimination. Do your duty in life, so counsels this great scripture elsewhere, but never lose sight of him to whom all action should be dedicated. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om. Om. Om.
Good morning, friends. As I was meditating on this topic today, I remembered a story of Paramahansa Yogananda. And he was cooking. I don't know if this was in Mount Washington or somewhere, but one of the disciples, a woman, was with him cleaning up as he was cooking. And he was using every pot and pan possible, it seemed like, going from one dish, messing the other. And she was scurrying behind him, cleaning, in this sort of restless state, trying to keep up with him. And it seemed as soon as she would clean a pot, he would messy 3 more, and she couldn't keep up. And then finally she caught herself in a restless state, trying to outwardly keep the kitchen clean, when she remembered that the real cleanliness is of the heart. And at that point, she just paused and smiled to herself. And then Yogananda stopped making such a mess. She was probably happy about that too. And there was another time when there was another woman disciple of Yogananda's. Remember, he didn't consider them his disciples. He said they're only God's disciples. But this woman, he said, you mustn't work so hard. You're working too hard. And then the next day, he gave her more tasks, more projects to do. And she couldn't understand. She said, well, he just told me not to work so hard. Why is he giving me more to do? And she was getting more anxious. And then the following day, he gave her another project. And she was feeling this weight upon her. And then another project. And finally, the third day, she's just said, I need to have a shift in my consciousness. That this isn't work, this is service to God, to my guru. And she approached her guru and said, Master, what if we shift our attitude and look at this not as work and busyness, that we're being of service? And he smiled and said, you've understood. That is the whole point of today's topic, is the one thing that is needful. What is that one thing that we need? Why do we need it? And how do we get it? Well, that one thing that we need is God consciousness. And our problem always resides not in the outer world or the problems or that we project onto other people or situations. It's always, of course, our own inner attitude. And that is why the great ones always emphasize right spiritual attitude. And so this is the scene we have here with Christ. He's rebuking Martha, and he's rebuking what? Not her outer service, but that consciousness and the attitude with which she is serving, because it's with ego consciousness rather than God consciousness. She's saying, my Lord, here I am. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning in the kitchen. I grew up with an Italian mother. I know about cooking and cleaning in the kitchen. I spoke with my mother yesterday, wished her happy birthday, and she was cooking and cleaning on her birthday. But it's not the outer activity, it's the inner consciousness with which we do it. So Christ is saying, oh, Martha, Martha, Mary is attending to that one thing that is needful. Right? You're busying yourself. If we look at these characters, we look at Christ, we look at Martha, and we look at Mary, these are all parts of our inner mental citizens. We have the Christ consciousness, that still spark of spirit that resides within us. And we have one part of our being that's like Martha, that's restless, that wants to not necessarily get drawn into activity, but draw attention to oneself, and doing it from a place of ego consciousness rather than God remembrance and God consciousness. And then we have that other part of our nature, Mary, who is sitting at the feet of Christ, and he's speaking and she's closing her eyes, communing with Christ. So that is the one thing that is needful. It's being like Mary in this scene. It is remembering the Christ consciousness, communing with our own latent divinity, feeling the presence of God within us. So that is the one thing that is needful. It's God consciousness. And we need to remember why. Why do we need it? Because as Swami was saying here in the reading, good actions may bring good karma, but they won't release us. They won't give us the final freedom from all karma. What we want on the spiritual path is capital S self-realization. We want to become free while living, jivan muktas. We want to be free from all karma. We don't want to just create more good karma. We want to be beyond all of that. And we can't get there without acting. Paramahansa Yogananda said to Swami Kriyananda, your life is one of intense activity and meditation. And Swami chose the name. We're coming up on his birthday on Tuesday. He chose the monastic name Kriyananda. And he felt that was, he would find bliss, Ananda, through Kriya, through the practice of Kriya Yoga, meditation. But he soon realized that it was through dynamic outward service, being calmly active, and then that service fed his meditation, actively calm. And it became this dynamo of divine energy. But we're all faced with this challenge of we have to act, but we need to act with God consciousness in our bosom. And how do we do that? Well, that's why it's so important to meditate. It is so important not just to meditate, but to commune with God, to remember God's presence. I don't know about you, but I often find myself rushing in my meditation. Thank you, Dharmadevi, for the beautiful meditation that she led. If you joined us at 10 a.m., she has that divine calmness to remind you that remember, calmly active, actively calm. There's one common denominator there, calmness. So we're trying to hold on, we're trying to commune with God as divine calmness and then bring it into activity. So that's one of the keys. There's no rush. Take your time. Enjoy whatever it is that you're doing that God has placed in front of you. Even, of course, the challenges, we can embrace them. A funny story, I remember when I was working in New York City, I was part of Ananda in New York, and we had a meditation group, and we led classes and whatnot. And there was a Saturday Learn to Meditate class that I was leading with some friends at a chiropractor studio. And I knew the chiropractor, and he had given me the keys, and we were going to go and have this class. And there was, people registered and coming. And so we were enthusiastic about this. We get there on that Saturday, and the elevator didn't run on Saturday. So I couldn't get up to the office on the 5th floor or wherever it was. And so here in about, a half hour or however not much time, all the students were coming, and I had nowhere to give this class. So I couldn't just, okay, it's over. No, we put out energy. And so my friends and I, we walked around the streets there in New York, just at other businesses. And I finally came to a print shop, and they had a little room in the back, and the gentleman let me use it for this meditation class. I'll never forget the funny part of that story was after we set up our impromptu altar on top of his heater or whatever it was there. I looked to the side and I thought, oh my God, I noticed this site. He had swimsuit models on the wall. My mother's got a great sense of humor. But it was putting out that energy, right, that comes back to us. And it helps us to realize that that God is the doer. You know, Swami Kriyananda, I have here with me the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. This is, in Swami's life, was one of the most incredible examples of this reading today. Be calmly active and actively calm. Remembering God all the time. When Swami began to write the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, he wasn't in seclusion. Here, he wrote this incredible scripture commentary on one of the deepest scriptures, edited and done in less than 2 months. I think a little over 6 weeks. He was in Gurgaon in India, and he was greeting people daily. He was holding satsangs, and at the same time, he was writing 10 to 20 pages a day. He was in the Bhagavad Gita. The song of spirit was flowing through him. One time, Oliver Black, who was a very advanced disciple of Yogananda, Master said to him, Oliver, the next time you pray, don't pray to God, pray in God. Be in that state of God consciousness. Remember, that is the one thing that is needful, that is for us to remember. And we're not remembering it intellectually. We're remembering it in the resonance of our soul. So that one thing that is needful is for us to have the love of God in our heart. That one thing that is needful is for us to have the sword of faith in our hand. That one thing that is needful is for us to have the joy of God, to radiate that joy of God to all. I mean, we can feel this right now, of course, with what we're going through in the world. It's like the great ones in Divine Mother have said to the world, Martha, Martha, Martha. Right? You're just running amok. We're just restless, going from one thing to the next without that God consciousness, without the remembrance of God. So Divine Mother has given us a big pause here with the pandemic for us to reevaluate, to genuinely introspect into our hearts, into our minds, into our souls. What is it that I want? What is that one thing that is needful for me? Why do I need that one thing? How do I get it? It all comes back to one, like Master said in his poem, Samadhi, knowing, knower, known as one. So the one thing we need is God. The one reason we need it is because God alone works. And the one way we will get there is by chanting his name always in our hearts, in our minds, in our souls, in meditation and in activity. God, God, God. I'd like to ask Dharmadevi to chant God, God, God. This is a poem that Yogananda wrote, and Swami Kriyananda wrote this melody.
Thou art the food, and when I break my fast of nightly separation from thee, I will taste thee and mentally say, God, God.
God. No matter where I go, the spotlight of my mind will ever keep turning on thee. And in the battle din of activity, my silent war cry will be, God, God, God. When boisterous storms of trial shriek, and when worries howl at me, I will drown their noises, loudly chanting, God, God, God. When my mind weaves dreams with threads of memories, on that magic cloth will I emboss, God, God, God. Every night in time of deepest sleep, when my peace dreams and calls, joy, joy, my joy comes singing evermore, God, God, God. In waking, eating, working, dreaming, sleeping, serving, meditating, chanting, divinely loving, my soul will constantly hum, unheard by any, God, 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 God.